This fleece is from our ewe Tatianna. And Tatianna is one of the mothers from this year. She's had lambs this year. And she's actually right there. So I don't even know what the day is today. It's like May 6th. I don't know if it is. But where we are in lambing right now is everybody that I thought was bred has bred. We've got one ewe left. Her name is Belva. And we're just kind of waiting on her. She could be somebody that took in the second wave of her gestation, whereas everybody else took in the first wave. So we're watching her right now carefully, but everybody else is pretty much done. So this is the nursery, so it's kind of fun. I'm right here next to all the lambs. So I decided to shear Tatianna, mostly just due to the fact that she doesn't seem to have a really weak rise, well suited for harvesting her fleece using a ruing method. It just seems to work better with shearing. She's a fawn katmoget. So that means darker on the perimeter, lighter as you go in. And many, katmogets can vary from very dark to very light. And it's just based on their genetics, which is something I would love to know more about. Katmoget genetics, what the different types are. I don't know about that, but it doesn't really make any difference in how I feel about their wool. It's just it would be really interesting to understand it a little bit better. So Tatianna had a spinning fineness this year of 22.1. Could be influenced by the fact that she was carrying a lamb. So in general, the harsher the conditions for the ewe, the finer her fleece is going to be. So think about it. If she's, let's just say she's not getting enough to eat. So that means that she's going to hold the protein in her body, withhold it from her fleece. So the fleece won't get as dense, and the actual fibers themselves may not be as thin, as small a diameter. And we saw this one year that the weather, it was really cold. We had a really, really cold winter. And practically every ewe had a lower micron number from the prior year. And that was when we, pretty much decided that, yeah, that's gotta be a thing. All right, so what I'm gonna do now, I've got it laid out. I did pre-weigh it. It was 49.8 ounces. I'm going to now skirt it. And the first thing I'm going to do is remove all this neck wool. So here's the neck. Her two front feet are right here, and her two back legs are over here. This is her tail, and this is her backbone. So we take the micron samples from right around here. The location where you take the micron sample is really important, because even with our careful breeding, you're going to have some variation front to back. So if every breeder on every farm takes the sample from every sheep in the same location, we're ensuring some level of standardization where we can eliminate that as a variable for differences between, farms numbers and sheep's numbers. So, okay, so now I'm going to go ahead, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and skirt. So the neck is the first thing. It's the easiest. You can see where the coat ends. We coat our sheep. Every ewe in the flock is coated. And that is just to keep all that VM and dirt and stuff, hay, out of the primary part of the fleece. All right, so this is going to go into my fawn comb top. It's not that dirty. She's taller. Usually my taller ewes aren't going to be as dirty. We're going to go over here to my fawn comb top bags. Yeah, usually the lamb's fleeces are a mess because they're so short, and they eat over top of each other, and so the fiber gets dirty if they don't have a coat. All right, so most of the leg wool is not covered by the coat. Here we are on her armpit. Normally a tricky spot to shear, so it's gonna be cut off a little. around to the belly. The shearer actually throws away the belly wool. That's the first thing he shears, and then it just goes into a discard pile. He doesn't keep that with the fleece because it'll make your fleece really dirty, bagging all that belly wool with your fleece. So Tatianna, really, her britch wool starts, I mean, it's just right here. I mean, I'm looking at this section here. It's still nice and fine. So she doesn't have a ton of britch, which is a good thing for her yield number that we're tracking. I'm going to go here for the other back leg. One thing that's a little bit of a shame when you're skirting katmoget fleeces to offer to other hand spinners is, you know, you're a lot of the times removing the contrasting color of the darker wool, because it's usually on the side, it's dirtier. It goes around the perimeter. When I'm spinning my own katmoget fleeces, I'm a lot less careful with the skirting because I like to get from the same fleece some of the darker and lighter wool that typifies the katmoget, you know, and that really highlights what she's all about. All right, so that's what Tatianna's fleece looks like. All one piece, because the shearer shears all in one piece. That's going to be my composting. I've got a trash can over there. I'm not sure if you can see it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sample, and like I said, this is about where we do the micron sampling. So that's where I'm going to take my, ooh, nice. So this is the, I don't look at the bottom, and I didn't watch shearing this year, so I don't really have anything in my head about what anybody's fleece looks like. With this year's shearing, I was back working with the start of the process, getting the coats off the ewes, getting them into the system, you know, trying to kind of get them to settle down. So I didn't see. So when I pull out these samples, that's always very exciting. Okay, so here I am. I am going to take a photo of this sample. I'm going to put this one on the black paper too. It's really crimpy. I mean, it is really clumped up. But when I measure the length of the staple, I don't stretch it. This is an unstretched length. I'm going to say it's 3 inches because there's a piece here that is really bent. It's actually really nice. 3 inches. Misplaced my pen. Staple that to the card. That's Lucia. Very distinctive cry. That is 100% setting my teeth on edge this year. Something about it, it's making me crazy. All right, Tatianna, she's a 3-year-old ewe from the Shakespeare character naming convention. I'm not a big reader of Shakespeare, so I don't know who this character is. So it doesn't really give me anything to connect her. So this little section that I just found is a little bit shorter than the sample I pulled, which is making me think that maybe we didn't have an easy shear. Maybe some inconsistencies, but we'll see, because we're going to flip it over and take a look at the other side. So normally what I do when I take it, fold it over, it's actually not so bad. Okay, here's a little second cut stuff here, but it's not like swaths, you know, sheets of second cutting trying to keep it all in one piece. This fleece, so many of the fleeces, more the brood ones than the sheared ones, are very, I want to say, like, I don't know how to describe it. They're not as open. They're not as like loose and floppy. They are clinging together as a fleece. So like, I don't know why they're crying right now. Like Tatianna's right here is very open. So if it were me, and this were my fleece, I would wash it, and then I would take these parts that are particularly open and maybe on the short side and put them on the drum carder, and then make roll lags. Spin long draw and have a little bit of texture because of the pointed tips. I think that would make a really pretty yarn. That's what I would do. But then you're going to have other sections that are nice and long, like this one right here. Let me just capture this for you. By nice and long, I'm going to say maybe 3 inches. All right, so let me get a picture of that. All right, so that's it. So now we're going to bag it, and we're going to get the skirted weight. So the auction is on my website. I have an application that I use to hold an auction. The auction lasts a week, and in each listing, I have the photographs I just took here, a copy of the entire Micron report, a photograph of the U, and then any tags. So, like, let's just say, for example, if this were a shorter staple, I would say that, or whatever. Actually, I put the staple length in the body of the description. But let's just say I say it has really, really coiled tips. That's one I have. I call it curly locks, I think, or something like that. If I put a discount on a fleece because I wasn't happy with something about it, I'll tag it that way. So I have a series of tags. Once I create those, I'll probably put that in the notification letter for the auction, what the tags are. And that way then you can sort and filter and stuff like that. Okay, let's get the weight on Tatianna. Tatianna's fleece was 27.5 ounces. So when I'm done with this, I'm going to take these cards and all this data I'm going to enter into a spreadsheet that I keep. Every year I have a spreadsheet for the entire flock and all the fleeces that I harvest. And I put all this data in there so that I can calculate yields and at a glance see who had the highest yield, who had the finest fleeces, because I'll put the spinning fineness in there, who had the best staple length, just all the data that's important to me for various reasons. All right, let's go find another fleece. I kind of want to do a gray one next. Let's see what I can find.